Hello, fellow Movie Crusaders, and welcome to another episode. As today I'm going to be reviewing the Amazon Prime sci-fi war film, The Tomorrow War. Now, for me, when I first saw the trailer for The Tomorrow War, I actually was pretty excited. I thought it had a really solid cast. The storyline element about people from the present having to be transported into the future to fight a war that has not happened yet. I think it had a very interesting premise for that. And then, of course, it stars, two of my favorite actors starring in roles today: Chris Pratt, also J.K. Simmons. You also got Yvonne Strahovski. I know I said that wrong. For anyone who's been a fan of Chuck, the TV series with Zachary Levi, I love that show so much. Also, she was in Dexter. You got Betty Gilpin from Glow and The Hunt, not The Hunted. You also got Sam Richardson, Edwin Hodge, Mary Lynn Rashkup for people who are fans of 24 and Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Very, very solid casting here for the film. The main thing that you got to worry about is with time travel and all that kind of stuff is, will the story be overbloated, or will it make sense, or will it just kind of be mind-numbingly fun? All those factors came into play when coming into this film, but a lot of it also prides on Chris Pratt. Can Chris Pratt lead this cast with this storyline? I mean, obviously, for the most part, we've seen him lately. He's been just playing, Star-Lord for the Guardians of the Galaxy, which he does a great job in. But I think a lot of people have been getting kind of Chris Pratt fatigue with, the Avengers films and Guardians films and the Jurassic Worlds and all that stuff. And I think a lot of people have maybe soured on Pratt a little bit. I personally have not been one of those people. But I think that's maybe why this film was maybe released more on Amazon Prime than it was in theaters. Because this is definitely, to me, what feels like a movie theater type of film. Something along the lines of like an Independence Day or an Edge of Tomorrow, or Starship Troopers in a sense. Which I love all three of those films. So that's why I was real excited going into this. Now, the main premise of this film is we're following Chris Pratt, whose name is Dan Forster. He's a former military man who's trying to excel himself, try to get promoted, trying to basically reach that pinnacle that he's trying to get to. He's married to Emmy Forster, played by Betty Gilpin, and they're all hanging out during a party when all of a sudden the world stops because a group of people have come from the future saying that there is a war that's happening in 30 years that we're going to lose, and we need to take people from the present, basically people who are dead at that time in the future, and bring them to the future to fight this war. And there's a draft, and Chris Pratt's character obviously gets drafted, and then we got the story from there, which I'm not going to go any further. That's basically the general premise without going into too much of a spoiler territory. I think with most movies, with Chris Pratt as the star, it works when Chris Pratt is, plucky, sarcastic, and fun, a lot like Ryan Reynolds is in a lot of his films. Him having to be there to kind of make it light of certain things is what makes Chris Pratt great at what he does. In this film, we get serious Chris Pratt in the film for the most part. There's a few little jokes here and a little bit in the beginning. There's maybe a little bit before they go into the future, but once he jumps into the future and all that stuff happens, Chris Pratt pretty much goes in serious mode, which nothing's wrong with that. But then all the comedy kind of is forced onto Sam Richardson, where he basically just keeps talking and talking and talking, and no one's really given him anything to work off of that. So a lot of his lines, while decent lines, kind of fall flat because of it. And that's kind of one of the main problems when it comes to the film itself, is that there's no real standout performance in this movie. Chris Pratt does a solid job, but it's not the Chris Pratt I think that everyone really likes or enjoys. He does a good job in the film. Yvonne Strahovski does a solid job in the film as well, but once again, it's just kind of feels like everyone's just kind of playing in this one particular tone, and there needs to be some kind of tone changes in the film to basically keep it fresh, keep it flowing. But nonetheless, when we do go to the future and we see the aliens that they're fighting, a lot of people have said they've seen these designs before. Cloverfield, stuff like that. I think the aliens in this film look fantastic. I think they look unique enough and do things unique enough with their alien features and stuff like that to really make them menacing and scary. And their fighting tactics, I think, look really awesome as well. I enjoyed immensely everything that was done in the future, because it felt like a Starship Troopers, Battle for Los Angeles kind of esque film. And I think Chris Pratt and all the soldiers that were in that aspect of the film, that to me is when the movie worked. Present day stuff, not so much. But everything in the future, I think worked incredibly great. I loved the battle sequences that we got. It was only like 2 or 3, but I enjoyed that aspect of the film. And I wish we could have stayed in that a lot more. The film runs about 2 hours and 25 minutes. It is 20 minutes to 25 minutes too long. We get a big final set piece in the future, and we pretty much, feel like that's the end of the film, and then we still have about 30 more minutes afterwards. We get about 10, maybe 12 minutes of slow down play, which I'm like, okay, what are we doing here kind of story? And then we get an inevitable fun kind of, final battle on present day. But the problem is that the movie just feels too overstuffed. It's too over bloated for stuff that's going on. Nonetheless, I enjoyed it for the most part. This is not something I'd probably go back and rewatch every year like I would something like an Independence Day or Starship Troopers. But I think for the cast and the alien designs and what they're trying to do, I feel like it's a very solid film. I think it's getting a lot of hate from reviewers for really no reason. There are problems in the film. Director Chris McKay, who's done Lego Batman and the Lego Movie, who's done really good at being able to juggle a lot of things, especially in those Lego films, I feel like is trying to force too much in this film, which just makes it feel over bloated. It doesn't really give enough to, outside of Chris Pratt's character, a lot of the other characters in the film kind of feel like they're just shortchanged and left on the wayside. Certain characters just disappear for the longest times. We don't know what happened to them, and then they just randomly show up. And we're like, what the hell happened to them during all that time? And we don't get answers to that for the most part, really. But I say, like I said, if it's in the future or the Tomorrow War aspect, I think the film works really, really well. The present day stuff, not so much. I also think they completely, J.K. Simmons is great in the film, but he's underutilized in the film. Betty Gilpin, to me, I feel like she's sleepwalking through most of the film, which I frankly, outside of Glow, I have really not enjoyed anything Betty Gilpin's done, and I didn't really enjoy her in this. Jasmine Matthews plays one of the Tomorrow people. I think she does a solid job, but she's not given nearly enough to do in this film. I feel like she should have gotten a lot more to do. Edwin Hodge is another character that I feel like should have gotten more to do. Same thing with Sam Richardson. Like I said, Pratt's solid. It's just I miss the fun, happy-go-lucky Pratt that's thrown into situations like this, and less of this serious, brooding kind of Chris Pratt kind of character. Overall, if you're looking for something for an action film this 4th of July weekend, that's the remnants of an Independence Day, Edge of Tomorrow, Starship Troopers, Battle of Los Angeles, I think Tomorrow War is a decent film to check out. It's not going to ever reach those levels of those films I just mentioned, but it is definitely a solid new film that you can watch for free on Amazon Prime. That might be worth checking out. Going to my review score, I'm going to give the Tomorrow War a 63%, which is a C grade. Like I said, I enjoyed it for the most part, but there are definitely some flaws to the film overall. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you guys did, go and hit that like, share, and subscribe button to the channel so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos that pop up on the Movie Crusaders. And of course, don't forget to follow us on all the social media outlets you see below. Coming up next, we got reviews for Fear Street Part 1, 1994, The Werewolves Within, and No Sudden Move. And then, of course, also next week, we have Brian, Michael, and myself back for the Weekend Crusaders, where we talk about 5 movies that came out in movie history during that weekend. We also have our halfway through the year movie rankings, and also the Weekend Crusaders. We're going to be doing a halfway through the year show as well. So be on the lookout for all that content. And until next time, in case I don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Movie Crusaders.
You're still here? It's over. Go home.